Hi, and welcome to Habits for Humans, the podcast that explores what makes people tick and how to program this brain of ours that is programmable to do what we want it to do. We are going to explore why we can sometimes, and in some areas of our lives, be complete rock stars and achieve extraordinary accomplishments, and other days or in other areas of our life, we are just addicted to Cheetos and watching TV. So if we want to be healthy and happy, if that is our operating goal, what is the secret to programming our brain to maximize our potential? I'm your host, Kim Flynn, and today we are going to talk about how to make progress and goals on things that you've been stuck on in your life. Maybe you've really wanted to lose weight. Maybe you've wanted to start an exercise program. You've wanted to get your house clean. You've wanted to start a practice of meditation. Whatever those want-tos are that you've been stuck on, we're going to dive deeply into each one of those today. We're going to give you lots of examples, and I want you to play along. So I want you to choose one habit that you would love to have or not have that you've been struggling with and kind of beats you up a little bit. Choose that one habit, and we're going to take that habit through all these different examples. And so have that habit in mind. We do have a giveaway for our listeners at the end. So if you like free stuff, stay tuned to the end of the podcast, and I'll talk to you about how you can get free stuff. So a word from our sponsor before we get started. Habits for Humans is brought to you by Card Salad. It's a health and wellness company that teaches you how to program your brain using systems and habits. Their flagship product is Eat Well. Eat Well is a meal planning system that trains you in eating habits to last a lifetime. After going through this program, you will never need to diet again. Visit cardsalad.com. All right, so the guest today is none other than yours truly. So my name is Kim Flynn. A quick introduction to me. I'm a best-selling author, podcaster, and serial entrepreneur. I've grown several businesses to 7 and 8 figures. My largest business closed in 2020. It was an event-based business, and it was a tragedy of my life. Closed that business, and we started Card Salad very soon after closing that other business. I'm currently the CEO of Card Salad. Again, it's a health and wellness company that provides organizational products to live a healthy, sustainable, deeply satisfying way of life. I'm featured on a bunch of TV and radio and other podcasts and have won a bunch of awards, but I don't feel like bragging about those right now. So what I am is an expert in systems and process building and habits. And I love to interview guests on this podcast about maximizing human potential. So let's dive into it. In our regular podcast, we always start with our number one habit of how to manage your own mental wellness. So for my own mental wellness, I have really instilled a habit of meditation in the mornings. And I struggled to implement this habit for many years and tried to clear my mind and, all the things that we think meditation is. And it actually was a book called 10% Happier by Dan Harris, I think. And that book really gave me a foundation for how many different ways you can meditate. And then truly, it wasn't until we fixed up our backyard and I made myself a little corner, and I have this swing in the corner of my backyard, and I take my coffee out there every morning, and I drink my coffee and just kind of settle in, and then I do 100 breaths of meditation. If I'm not in the mood for it, I'll do 20 breaths of meditation. But that has really helped me just kind of center and ground my life. So that's my number one habit to manage my own mental wellness. So let's jump into the content here. Today, we're going to, again, talk about if you have been stuck on a habit that you've been trying to instill but haven't had much success in instilling that. How do you make progress on that stuckness? And again, I want you to think of a habit that you have been wanting to either stop doing or start doing. And go ahead and write that down. If you're following along with me, write that down if you can. And think about this one habit. We're going to take it through these 3 different scenarios that you can add or change to make that habit really stick. So as a review really quickly of last time, in the last podcast, I went through what was called the SNL habits. So SNL habits are, is it really simple and short and easy? So the first one is short. Is it really short? If we're saying to ourselves, okay, I want to run a marathon And right from the get-go, I am going to run 10 miles a day. It's not short enough. It's not small enough. I think the word was small, actually. It's not small enough. And so in that scenario with running a marathon, if you wanted to instill that habit in your life, not just the goal of a marathon, but if you wanted to be a marathon runner, right? Habit versus a goal. If you want to be a runner, the small could be I get my shoes on every day and I walk out the door. And maybe that's the very first step. You instill that habit in yourself of just putting your shoes on and walking out the door. Chances are you will do more than walk out the door. Chances are once you're out there with your shoes on, you might run around the block. And chances are if you run around the block, you might run, down the street as well. And so it's all about starting very, very small, but those small things have to be consistent. So you say to yourself, I am going to put my shoes on and walk out the door every single day. Maybe you end up running twice a week. Maybe you end up running once a week. Maybe you don't end up running at all that first week. All you're doing is getting in the habit of putting your shoes on. But that is the magic of habit forming versus goal setting. Goal setting is like, I'm going to push it really hard and I'm going to accomplish this feat, and then it's not going to impact the rest of my life. Rather than that model, we really are going to focus on a habit model, which is I am becoming a runner, not just a one time I pushed myself really hard and did a marathon once. I am a runner for life. And that brings us to actually our third qualification in SNL habits. The first one is small. The third one, I'm going out of order. The third one is it sustainable for a lifetime? Unless you're planning on dying in 12 weeks, which I certainly hope you are not, but unless you're planning on dying in 12 weeks, it doesn't make any sense to do a diet and exercise regime that will finish in 12 weeks. So many of us have tried, me included, these really aggressive programs that you're like, okay, I will lose 20 pounds and be super, super healthy in 12 weeks. And it's a 12-week program. I'm going to push myself really, really hard. What happens after that 12 weeks? You haven't instilled habits. In fact, diets and all the research on diets show that if you do push yourself for that limited amount of time, your body will actually gain more weight and become more unhealthy after the fact. So it's not about goals. It's not about doing things for a designated amount of time and pushing really hard until that day ends. It's about having these habits and becoming this type of person who has healthy habits instilled in their life for a lifetime. And so that's the third qualification in SNL. Small, we skip number 2. And then the third one is lifetime. That's your L. The one in the middle is no force. So it's an N. No force, no discipline, no willpower needed. If your habit that you're trying to instill is like, oh, I'm just going to grit my teeth and gut it out, that's not how we gain habits. We gain habits very, very slowly, very, very small pieces. And when we do that, it really will snowball. It's amazing. I remember in 5th grade, my teacher had us, do some kind of math formula where she said, you can either choose one of these two scenarios. You can either get a penny today and have it double every day for a month, or I'll give you $500. Which would you prefer? And of course, knee-jerk reaction is, give me the $500. And then when you do the math on it, that 1 penny doubling every day over 30 days is significantly more than that $500. I can't remember how much it is, but it was a huge number. And that's the same thing with instilling habits. We think, oh, I'm just going to gut this out. I am going to go on this aggressive diet and exercise program. And in 12 weeks, I'm going to drop 20 pounds. I'm going to look fabulous and feel great about myself. And in 16 weeks, I will have totally fallen off the horse, and I will go back to all my old habits because I didn't program my brain, right? Versus I'm going to start out just putting my shoes on, and I'm going to do that every day for as long as it takes. Maybe it takes 3 weeks of just putting my shoes on before I actually run. And then your body, this is the amazing part about this, your body and your brain will pull you to start doing more naturally. It's the craziest thing. So one of my habits is every time I go into every time I walk past the laundry room, I change the clothes out. I put the clothes in the washer and the dryer and whatever, switch it out. And then I also fold 3 things. I fold like 3 towels, or I fold 3 things of 3 items of clothing from the laundry. And that's all I do every time I walk by. Sometimes when I'm feeling cranky and not in the mood, I will say, well, I'll just fold my three things. And I grab like a towel and, two socks and mate them. And I'm like, I'm good. And other times without any force or discipline, it's like my body just like pulls me into the laundry room, which I go in every time I walk past, but it pulls me in there. And it's just like, oh, let's just fold this whole thing of laundry. Oh, let's fold this next thing of laundry. Like it does not require force or discipline. It's like your body and brain are programmed to run your life how you want to run them, in health, in eating good foods, in exercise, in keeping your house clean, in spiritual practices like meditation, in business or your career. Maybe you want to start writing. Maybe you want to research things. Maybe you want to learn a new language. All of those habits that we're trying to instill, instead of forcing ourselves, we're going to program our brains through these habits to run our lives the way we want them to. So now that you're thinking, I want you to think about this one habit that you've been struggling with. My habit that I've been struggling with is after dinner. Well, so let me rewind really quickly. So my family now cooks real foods every single night. We cook a main recipe and a side recipe, like a salad or something, every single night. And then every single night, I package that leftovers from dinner for lunch the next day. And that's our routine. That is our habit. And I did not start out years ago having anything to do with cooking. This is a habit that I've definitely had to work to instill. So our family used to eat like freezer pizza, and we used to have a nanny that would cook, I don't know, like cheesy casseroles. And then we ate out a lot of fast food, and a lot of my husband and I would just go out to dinner probably 3 or 4 times a week. You hear my doggy in the background there. Hey, Peppers. So we had this habit of not taking good care of ourselves, and we were able to replace that with this habit of eating good foods. And the habit that I'm now trying to shift is at night when the food is really good, because let's face it, when you cook real foods from home, it's going to taste really good. And the habit I have now is like, I get my first serving, I'm sitting around talking with the kids, and then I'm like, oh, I want to continue this moment. I'm still enjoying myself. So then I go get a second serving and I sit back down and eat it with the kids. And then I reach over to their plates and eat any food that they're not eating. So that's my habit that I want to discontinue, right? So you go ahead and choose a habit for you that you want to discontinue. And let's take these habits that we're stuck on and put them through these processes. I hate that word, actually. Processes. I don't know. All right, let's take them to the first one. The first trick I have of getting habits to stick is, number one, finding support. And so when I was starting to learn how to cook and starting to cook every day, I had my son, who is now 15, helping me cook every day. And if I had someone in the kitchen with me, I would cook the main dish. My son would cook the side dish. We were able to get that habit instilled. So find support, find people. My husband, during COVID times, encouraged me to go to the gym with him. And that actually has instilled a beautiful habit that I've been doing for probably over a year now, maybe a year and a half. So it started before COVID. And that is going to the gym 3 times a week. Look at this. I don't know if you can see this. This for me is impressive. I got some muscles. I've never felt better about the strength and health of my body. I've been going to the gym for 3 days a week, just super consistently. I built it into my schedule. But the way I started that habit was going to the gym with my husband. So if you can find a person to help you with that support system, that is one of the biggest tricks, because we are social creatures, to get yourself to instill that habit. Here's some other ideas for you. Let's say if you wanted to start a business or maximize a business you already had and grow that. Oftentimes you'll join a coaching group or a mastermind group. We have a program at my business called Card Salad, the business is called Solid. The program or product is called Lead Well, and it actually is a support group to help people move their business forward. So it's step by step what you do every single day, 15 minutes a day, what you need to do to grow your business. And then there's coaching calls every week for more support. And so find some kind of support system in business. Let's think about eating, just like I did, your spouse or your teen. Maybe your kids can cook with you. If you're trying to form a meditation or health or mental health or wellness habit, one of the best things I did to kind of kickstart myself is I joined an online meditation group. And that was really helpful for me because every day, 8 a.m. on that Zoom call, it's going to be there. And it really just helped instill that habit of meditation. And then from there, you can kind of, once you instill the habit, then you can do it on your own. So that's an idea as well. Let's see. Here's a story of mine of getting back into business and actually doing projects and getting back into work. My business closed, and if you listened to my previous podcast, you'll hear the whole story, but my business closed in 2020 and I was devastated, and I went into a depression and couldn't get off the couch, and it was terrible, y'all. And those of you who struggle with depression and are able to just move through life, like, kudos to you. You have my utmost respect and admiration, because that was a really difficult thing to do. I haven't struggled with depression before, and that was really hard. Just to get off the couch. And one of the things that helped me get off the couch and get moving again and have that habit of being productive again is my sister came to visit, and she would head down into the basement. So I'm in my basement. This is my home office basement here. And she would head down here and she would work on her computer. And just the fact that I knew that she was down there helped me to get off the couch, to come downstairs, to get my own laptop out, and I just worked next to her. It sounds so silly, right? Like, a grown adult in my 40s could not work unless my sister was sitting next to me, just randomly doing her own work. And I was like, okay, if she's here with me, then I can do my work too, And so find those people in your life that can support you and ask them to do an official, I am trying to instill a habit. Will you help me? So that's one of the biggest tips I have. If you are stuck on a habit that you can't see progress on, get support in the form of people or groups of people. All right, so that's idea number one. So if I were applying that to my own goal or my own habit I'm trying to shift, which is I overeat at night, what I'm trying to do is create different habits there, obviously. And so what I've done is, this is a little bit of a different type of habit, or a little bit different type of technique, I should say. But I'm having my kids encourage me to play games after we do dinner. And so I'm sitting there at dinner enjoying this, delicious time with my teenagers and my husband. And I don't want to end it. And so this, I don't want to sit there with an empty plate. And so what I'm doing now is we're keeping games, just stupid board games. We have bananagrams, and there's this just little card games and stuff. We keep a stack of them next to the dining room table. And then when we finish eating, instead of me wanting something to do, which is refill my plate, I can clear my plate and grab a game. And even if I just take the bananagram tiles out and start doing it, usually one of my teenagers will come join me and we can have some fun playing a little game. And that way I can continue enjoying that time, but I don't need to fill it with eating. So what can you do to bring in support or people to help you with that goal? All right, so that's number one, bring in support, people or groups of people. Number two is make the goals even smaller. We talked about SNL goals, but make the goals even smarter. And I don't want to, or smaller. I don't want to use the word goals either. Make the habits even smaller. Habits versus goals, really important thing to understand. Goal is I want to lose 20 pounds. Habit is what am I going to do every day to lose the 20 pounds? And so it's not like you're going to say, okay, I'm going to set all these goals, and then I'm instilling habits just so that I can achieve the goals. Again, that there's no point to that. Don't do that plan unless you are, planning on dying in 6 weeks, like I said before. We really are going to instill habits just to instill habits. And to live this, full, deeply satisfying way of life. We're not going to instill habits just to get ourselves to a false goal. You probably have 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70 more years on this planet. Setting goals for a lifetime really don't make sense. Setting habits really is the way to really make sense with human lives. Like we run our lives on routines and doing the same thing again and again and again. Even the day, like we start with the morning, we move to the afternoon, and then the evening, and then we sleep. Like everything in our lives as a human is designed around routines and habits, not around goals. So try to move away from goals as much as you can. If you set your habit that you're stuck on as, I want to lose 20 pounds, go ahead and change that to what habit you want to instill to lose those 20 pounds. And even consider getting rid of that goal of losing 20 pounds and instead saying, I want to, put this habit of cooking for my family every day in place and eating real foods. And that's the habit I want to instill. All right, let's move on to number 2 then. So number 1 is get people in support. Number 2 is, we already moved on to this one. Sorry. Very small steps. And so what if what if you want to be a marathon runner and that is what you want to become? The habit for that could be, instead of signing up for marathons, which would be really aggressive if you're going from ground zero to, I'm going to do a marathon. I don't know if your body will really appreciate that, and it's going to take a lot of force and discipline. Instead of that, why don't you set the habit of, I'm going to run around the track before I leave work every day. Maybe your workplace has a track. Wouldn't that be fun? Let's see. Maybe you want to organize your entire house and have a very clean house. Maybe you're a bit of a hoarder. We have some family members that are a bit hoardering, and it's so interesting to see what we attach to, right? Maybe instead of trying to keep our whole house organized, we want to organize one drawer every Monday or one drawer a day. Just very, very small steps. Let's see, maybe you want to get out of debt. That's a classic goal that you would set, right? How do you make that smaller? How do you turn that into a habit? So instead of, I'm going to get out of debt, what if you pay off $30 towards your lowest credit card every single week? So every Friday, you pay off an extra $30 on that credit card. Again, it's habits, right? We're getting into the habits. What if you want to become a Buddhist monk or achieve nirvana? What if your goal is to do that? What about not having that as a goal? Which is so funny because achieving nirvana and any real Buddhist would tell you there is no achieving nirvana. There's no goal. There's no destination. So instead of that, maybe you want to read a paragraph of a spiritual book every day. Maybe you originally set the habit of, I'm going to read a chapter every day, but you'll find out pretty quickly a chapter is pretty aggressive. How can we make it small, no force or discipline, and sustainable for a lifetime? You probably can't read a chapter of a spiritual book every single day unless you really carve it into your day. What if you started with just a paragraph? You read a paragraph of a spiritual book every single day. That is sustainable for a lifetime. And then some days you'll feel like reading more and you'll read 3 chapters. And some days you'll be rushed for time and you'll just read that one paragraph. But the goal is to set the habit. The goal is to have that habit. All right, so that's number 2. Number 2 is set very small habits or goals. And go ahead and think about your habit or goal that you want to work on, your habit, I should say, and ask yourself, what can you do to make it smaller, 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 and then even smaller so that you can do it every day, knowing that if you have that very small habit in place, there will frequently be times where your body and your life and your brain will just like push you to do more without force or discipline. Let's go back to that marathon running. If all you did was, walk around the track every day, and if it was a habit, you walk the track every day, You might do that for 2 months, and one day, I guarantee it, one day you will say to yourself, oh, I actually feel like running. Not I want to force myself to run. I actually feel like running. And you might run for 30 seconds. You might run for a minute, and slowly, gradually, you'll notice that you're running instead of walking, and you're running for longer and longer times without any force, without any discipline. This is what I do now at the gym. So I like lifting weights, and I hate cardio. I absolutely hate it. I don't like that feeling of just being winded and not being able to catch your breath. I'm not a fan. So what I'm doing is I get on the treadmill after arms day, not after legs day, but after arms day. And I'm training just to see how fast I can go. So I started with the treadmill on like an 8 for 1 minute, and I ran at a level 8 for 1 minute and about killed me. And I did that for a long time, and without like wanting, without even like requiring or giving myself stars or having a tracking sheet or anything, nothing external. Naturally, your brain and your body will say, oh, let's see if I can do an 8.5. And then I got up to that. And now I'm on a full-on 10. It's a breakneck speed for me. For some of you, it might be really slow. But for me, a 10 on a treadmill is pretty dang fast. And I run that level 10 for a full minute. And then you'll slowly just talk to me another year. I bet that level 10 will have gone as far up as the treadmill will go. Some treadmills go to like 13, 15. And then maybe I'll start to do an incline. I don't think I'll ever want to do more than 1 minute. It's the 1 minute cardio program. Maybe I'll eventually change my mind on that. But for now, it's like, I'm going to push myself for 1 minute, right? And and it's kind of fun to see my body and my brain just adapt for me and say, no, you can actually go a little faster. And it starts to get fun too. Like if you're not trying to pull yourself, force yourself, it feels so fun and so freeing. Like I'm flying when I'm on that treadmill, just going as fast as I can at my 10. And it's pleasurable versus, oh, I have to push myself to run my guts out, right? All right, so that's the principle number 2, make things smaller, 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 smaller. Let's go on to principle number 3, which is don't try to stop bad habits, just replace them. It's really hard to say, I will not smoke. I will not eat Cheetos. I will not sleep in. I will not fill in the blank there. When we try to stop ourselves from doing things, that's the hard road. The much easier road is to replace what you're doing with something else. So one of the things that we did with Eat Well with our program, let me show you Eat Well really quickly, just because I have it right here from yesterday or from yesterday's podcast. So this is our Eat Well program. This is a menu board with all the days of the week on it. And then you, really easy menu planning. You get these recipe cards in the mail every month, and it's just on an auto ship, and you get new recipes. And what's fun is the recipes slowly get healthier and healthier and healthier following the habit stacking program, right? Like if you try I'm going to eat lentils and, green pea soup and broccoli right from the beginning, that's just a diet. Your body and brain will rebel against that. So we started out with really hearty foods. Like we've got, green chili cheese, quiche casserole, enchiladas, cornbread, fries, all kinds of fun, like hearty stuff. And then slowly over the months, it gets leaner and leaner and leaner, which is kind of fun. Also comes with a shopping list and habit cards that you read every day and check off the list of like, did I do that habit every single day? So that's kind of fun. So that's the Eat Well program. And one of the principles that we have in the Eat Well program is you don't try to stop yourself from eating whatever food choice you enjoy. For me, I used to love, I still love potato chips, but I used to love in particular the kettle corn jalapeno potato chips. Oh my goodness, they were so good. And so every night I would have a little bowl of these. This is years ago. I'd have a little bowl of these and I would love them. So we're not trying to say don't eat jalapeno, kettle corn, whatever it's called, potato chips. We're not going to say take it out of your diet, don't buy it, restrict yourself, none of that. Instead of that plan, you're going to do a smarter plan, which is replace, which is every time you go to the refrigerator or you're in the kitchen, you are going to eat as many things as you can. You're going to stuff your face with as many, and here's the type of food, fruits and vegetables as you can get into your body. If you simply are full on carrots and broccoli and raspberries and blueberries and bananas and avocado and all of that good stuff, you're not going to have the cravings for all the other stuff. We can go into all the science behind it. We can go into all the food weight behind it, what your body is actually doing when it's consuming all that stuff. I'm not wanting to get into all that right now, but just know that if you were to, instead of trying to stop yourself from eating potato chips, because that's like trying to stop a habit, right? Instead of that, let yourself have the potato chips. But before you have the potato chips, stuff your face with roasted carrots and every good fruit and vegetable that you actually enjoy. Stuff your face with all of those. A lot of people will say to me then, well, I hate vegetables. I don't enjoy vegetables. I don't like eating vegetables. Awesome. You can also train your brain and your body to actually like vegetables by doing it one small piece at a time. I used to be one of those people that said, I hate vegetables. Sure, a fruit now and then I'm fine with, but I don't like vegetables at all. And now I crave roasted carrots, roasted asparagus. Oh, come on. Just thinking about it, I'm like, that's some good stuff right there. So you can train your brain to like them without force, without discipline. And that's what the Eat Well program actually does. So I'm a little bit passionate about building habits and implementing sustainable habits for a lifetime. Let's see. Here's something else you can do to not stop or replace. So let's go back to my example of I don't want to, go back and have seconds and then have thirds after I'm eating. What I can do is I can replace the food. I've already talked about this. I can replace the getting seconds and thirds with playing a game. And I've actually taken it a step further as well. I have moved a puzzle into my dining room. And so if I stand up from the kitchen table and actually move out of the kitchen and into like the formal dining room that we never use, come on, everyone's got a formal dining room that they don't use because it's not 1950 anymore, right? So if you move into the formal dining room and I just have a puzzle out, the kids or my husband will sometimes follow me in there. And then we have a beautiful, after dinner, not around the food at all. I'm in a completely different environment. So that's me substituting instead of saying, no, I can't have seconds, I can't have thirds. I'm just replacing it with a different activity. So think about that. Before I figured out that diets suck, I have been on so many diets through the years, as most women and most men have in the US as well. And you start to get all these crazy diet rules in your head, like, oh, I can't have avocado because it's high in oil, and I can't have fruit, and I can't have milk, and I can't have cheese, and I can't have beef, and I can't have bread, because every diet has different restrictions, right? And so you start like ruling out all the food groups, and then you're left with, oh no, what can I eat? And you're like, oh, I can have broccoli, but wait, that's carbs. I can't have carbs either. And you might be like frozen in this feeling of like, oh, I can't have anything. So it so messed me up. And I just simply decided it's time for me to eat real foods, to start eating more real foods rather than trying to like limit myself or stopping myself. So those are the ideas that I have for you. If you are stuck on not being able to instill a habit that you'd like to start instilling, those are your steps. So find support, a friend, a spouse, a child, or a whole group. Number 2 is make the habits even smaller. Remember that you want to focus on habits, not goals. And number 3, don't try stopping, replace it instead. And it's kind of like if you have a system, so a diet is a system, right? So if you have a system of what I want to do, or like a workout regimen is a system, right? But you don't have habits to put that into place. It's kind of like a car without gas. You have the vehicle, but you really don't have any way of putting that into your life until you build it into your life through habits slowly and surely. So that is our second podcast today. Next time, we are going to talk about how to build habit stacking routines. And this is what gets really fun. You're going to build a morning routine and perhaps an evening routine. I have a morning routine. I have a when I get to work routine, when I'm not working from home, when I work from the office, a routine there. I have a routine of wrapping up from work. And then I have a routine getting home from work. And I have a routine at nighttime. So all these routines, and when you build them into your life, it makes your life run on autopilot. And for some of you creatives, sometimes people, I call them dreamers, and that's a positive term. It's like I have all these ideas and dreams, and I like to keep things kind of loose and shaken up. Sometimes the dreamer personality will have resistance, and they'll say like, oh, that will make my life boring or too static. That actually is not the case. It like runs the boring stuff on autopilot so that you have more time, more energy, and more freedom to pursue all the fun projects that you want to pursue. So put the boring stuff on autopilot. That's the reason for programming your brain through habits. So as we wrap things up, a reminder that the goal of this podcast is to program your brain to start instilling systems and habits into your daily life. It's not about what you know. Google knows everything, right? Google and the Encyclopedia Britannica know everything. If it was a problem in what do I do, you'd already be doing it, right? It's not a problem in what you do. It's about actually implementing these habits and starting one very small step at a time. Our giveaway time, for those of you who stay down to the end, thank you. Our giveaway is from our sponsor, Card Salad. Leave a review or comment on whatever platform you found us on. You can leave it on the podcasting platform that you found us on, a social media platform, or directly on habitsforhumans.com about your favorite quote or idea from the show and why you loved it. And I will pick my favorite each week, and I'll send you a code for a free Eat Well starter kit. It's a $150 value, and we give away one of those every single week. Our next episode, again, we'll continue to explore strategies on how to program our brain. And we're going to talk about those juicy habit stacking routines, and you'll build those with me during the podcast. Thank you for joining us. Thank you. This is Habits for Humans, the podcast that teaches you how to program your brain to maximize your potential. We want to give all of our listeners a free taste of that Eat Well program that I just showed you. So get 7 days of that program for free. Just go to habitsforhumans.com. and start your 7-day Eat Real Food Challenge and have fun with 7 days getting you started on that program. Thank you in advance for giving us a positive review. Thanks, everyone.